Today, I'm counting down the top 5 coins that look ordinary, but are worth insane money. Some of these coins have sold for thousands, tens of thousands, even more. Most people walk right past them without knowing what they have. Stay till the end, because coin number 1 might completely shock you. 1979 D Roosevelt dime was made in Denver and marked with a small d just to the left of the torch on the back. Millions were produced, and most of them were spent, scratched, and forgotten. To most people, this dime is worth exactly 10 cents. But that assumption is what causes valuable examples to slip by unnoticed. The most important factor for the 1979 D dime is condition. Coins from the late 1970s were not made with collectors in mind. They were struck fast, in huge numbers, and quality control was a priority. That means truly clean, untouched examples are far scarcer than people think. A circulated 1979 D dime has no extra value. But a perfect, uncirculated one with no wear and strong shine can sell for $20 to $40, sometimes more if demand is high. The biggest value jump comes from full torch dimes. On the back of the coin is a torch with horizontal lines. Most 1979 D dimes were weakly struck, and those lines blur together. A full torch dime has all the lines sharp and clearly separated. Certified 1979 D full torch dimes are extremely difficult to find. When one appears in high condition, collectors pay $300 to $700, and exceptional examples can go even higher. These coins once passed through pockets and vending machines, which makes their survival even more shocking. One of the most valuable errors is doubling. This happens when parts of the design appear doubled, especially on the date, the word liberty, or in God we trust. Strong doubling can push values into the hundreds of dollars, depending on clarity. Off-center strikes are another eye-catcher. If the coin was not aligned correctly during striking, part of the design may be missing. As long as the date and mint mark are visible, these errors can sell for $200 to $600. Sometimes more if the misalignment is dramatic. Another surprising error is a clipped coin, where part of the edge is missing due to a cutting mistake. These coins often look damaged, but they're actually rare mint errors. Authentic clipped 1979 D dimes have sold for $100 to $300. Some 1979 D dimes also show cracks or raised blobs in the metal. These come from worn or damaged tools at the mint. Large, obvious cracks are highly collectible and can sell for $150 to $400. What makes the 1979 D dime so easy to overlook is that it doesn't look old or special. There's no silver. There's no unusual color. That's exactly why people miss valuable ones. Many high-value examples were found in old rolls, inherited jars, and forgotten collections, not in display cases. People assume modern dimes had no real value and collectors know better. Every year, more 1979 D dimes get scratched, bent, or lost. That slowly reduces the number of clean survivors. As supply drops, demand grows. One sharp detail, one clear torch, one unusual strike. That's all it takes to turn an ordinary 1979 D dime into something worth hundreds of dollars or more. The 1995 D Roosevelt dime was made in Denver and carries a small D mint mark. Most people have handled these coins thousands of times without ever thinking twice. They feel common. They look common. And in most cases, they are common. But a tiny number of 1995 D dimes are worth for more than anyone expects. And those are the ones collectors fight over. A worn 1995 D dime is worth exactly 10 cents. That's the reality. But value changes fast when condition changes. The most valuable 1995 D dimes are perfect, untouched coins that never entered circulation. These coins have no scratches, No dull spots, and no wear on Roosevelt's face or the torch on the back. Almost all dimes get damaged the moment they're used, which is why flawless ones are so rare today. A high-grade 1995D dime can sell for $20 to $60, and in some cases much more. That doesn't sound shocking yet, but keep going. The real money comes from full torch dimes. On the back of the dime is a torch with horizontal lines. Most 1995D dimes were struck weakly, meaning those lines blend together. But when all the lines are sharp and clearly separated, collectors call it full torch. These are extremely hard to find for this year. A certified 1995D full torch dime in top condition has sold for hundreds of dollars. And when demand is high, prices can climb even higher. These coins once passed through vending machines, pockets, and cash registers. Now here's where things get truly shocking. Some 1995D dimes were made with mint errors, and error coins can be worth serious money. A double strike error, where the coin was struck more than once, can create a ghost-like second image. These coins are dramatic and rare, depending on how clear the extra strike is. Values can reach $500 to over $1,000. Off-center strikes are another big one. If the coin was not lined up correctly when struck, part of the design may be missing. As long as the date and mint mark are still visible, these coins are highly desirable. Large off-center 1995D dimes have sold for $300 to $900. Another mistake involves clipped coins, where part of the coin is missing because the metal blank was cut incorrectly. These often look like someone took a bite out of the edge. Real clipped 1995D dimes can sell for $150 to $400. Sometimes more. Some of the rarest examples show metal cracks or raised blobs, caused by damaged tools at the mint. These look like raised lines or bumps on the coin's surface. The more dramatic the crack, the more valuable the coin becomes. Certain cracked die 1995D dimes have sold for several $100s. What shocks most people is that these valuable coins don't look old. They don't look special. They don't look like treasure. That's why they get missed. Many of the most valuable 1995D dimes were found in old coin jars, dresser drawers, and forgotten rolls, not in museums or vaults. People assumed modern coins couldn't be worth real money, and they were wrong. Another uncomfortable truth is that once damaged coins are spent and lost, they're gone forever. That means clean, high-quality 1995D dimes become harder to find every year. Collectors know this, and prices reflect it. The biggest shock of all is how simple it is to check. Look for scratches. Look at the torch. Look for anything that doesn't belong. One tiny detail can be the difference between 10 cents and hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And right now, there are still 1995D dimes sitting quietly in everyday collections, waiting for someone who knows what makes them valuable. The 2013 P. Roosevelt dime was made in Philadelphia and carries a small P mint mark, something older Americans never saw growing up. For decades, Philadelphia coins had no mint mark at all. That alone makes this dime feel different to collectors who remember handling older change. At first glance, the 2013 P dime looks completely normal. It's small, thin, and easy to ignore. Most people have spent dozens of them without a second thought. But what surprises many Americans is that this coin was designed with collectors in mind, even though it was also released for everyday use. By 2013, coin collecting had changed. Fewer people were saving coins, and the US Mint knew it. So many modern coins, including the 2013 P dime, were struck with better detail and cleaner finishes than coins from the 1970s, 80s, or 90s. That means condition matters more than people realize. A worn 2013 P dime is worth exactly 10 cents. But a perfect one is a very different story. Coins are graded on condition. and most coins in circulation get scratched, bumped, and dulled almost immediately. Very few survive without damage. A 2013 P dime that has no wear, sharp details, and strong shine can sell for $20, $50, or more, simply because so few remain flawless. That may not sound shocking yet, but here's where it gets interesting. Some 2013 P dimes were struck with exceptionally strong detail on the torch on the back of the coin. Collectors call these full torch dimes, meaning all the horizontal lines on the torch are fully visible and separated. Most dimes do not meet this standard. A certified 2013 P full torch dime in top condition has sold for hundreds of dollars, and prices can climb even higher when demand spikes. These are coins people once received as change at grocery stores. Some 2013 P dimes were struck slightly off-center. Others show doubling in the letters or date. Some have small cracks in the metal caused by worn tools at the mint. To most people, these look like flaws. To collectors, they are valuable mistakes. A noticeable off-center 2013 P dime can be worth $50 to $300, depending on how dramatic the error is. Strong doubling on the date or words can push values even higher. Then there are clipped blanket errors, where part of the coin is missing because the metal blank was cut incorrectly. These coins often look like they've had a bite taken out of them. Authentic clipped 2013 P dimes have sold for over $200, sometimes much more. Here's a shocking fact. Many valuable 2013 P dimes are sitting in coin jars, dresser drawers, and old rolls, completely unnoticed. People assume only old silver coins matter. That's not true anymore. The value comes from condition, rarity within the year, and mistakes, not just age. Another reason this dime matters is emotional. Many Americans who grew up in the 1990s and early 2000s remember actually using coins every day: vending machines, arcades, parking meters. Cashless payments weren't everywhere yet. Coins like the 2013 P dime are part of that transition period, and collectors are starting to care more about it. Some collectors believe modern high-grade coins like the 2013 P dime are tomorrow's sleepers, cheap now, but much harder to find later. Once damaged coins are spent and lost, only a small number of perfect ones remain. What makes this even more surprising is how easy it is to check. You don't need fancy tools. Look at the surface. Is it scratched, dull, or does it still shine? Look closely at the back. Are the lines on the torch sharp and clear? Does anything look off or unusual? A coin you've owned for years, tossed in a jar without thinking, could already be worth far more than face value. That's the shocking truth about modern coins like the 2013 P dime. They don't look special. They don't feel special. But under the right conditions, they absolutely are. The 1965 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark is one of the most misunderstood coins in American history. At first glance, it looks ordinary, even boring. Millions of them were struck, most of them heavily circulated, scratched, and worn down over decades of use. But hidden within this massive production run is one of the most shocking transitions in US coinage, and a tiny number of these dimes exist that defy everything collectors expect. 1965 was the year the United States officially ended silver coinage for dimes. For the first time, the mint switched from 90% silver to a copper-nickel-clad composition. To avoid hoarding and public panic, the mint made a controversial decision. All mint marks were removed from coins from 1965 through 1967. That's why these dimes show no DIMES mark. Every 1965 dime looks the same on the surface. A small number of 1965 dimes were accidentally struck on 90% silver planchets left over from 1964. These transitional error coins are among the most valuable modern US coins ever discovered. They look nearly identical to common clad dimes, but their weight tells a completely different story. A standard 1965 clad dime weighs 2.27 grams. A silver dime weighs 2.50 grams. That tiny difference of just 0.23 grams can mean the difference between pocket change and a six-figure payday. Collectors use precision digital scales and magnet tests to identify potential silver errors. Authentic 1965 silver dimes are extraordinarily rare. Fewer than a handful are confirmed by top grading services. When one appears at auction, it sends shockwaves through the numismatic world. High-grade examples have sold for well over $300,000, making them more valuable than many gold coins. Another astonishing category involves 1965 special mint set SMS dimes. These coins were not meant for circulation and were struck with exceptional detail using polished dies. They have a distinctive satin or matte finish, sharp edges, and unusually strong strikes. At first glance, they can look like proof coins, but proofs were not officially produced in 1965. The mystery deepens because some SMS dimes display proof-like characteristics, and a few are believed to be experimental or presentation strikes. In top condition, these SMS dimes have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, and certain extraordinary specimens have pushed into six-figure territory. Then there are the mint errors that turn ordinary 1965 dimes into jaw-dropping rarities. A double diopter scan caused doubling on Roosevelt's eye, year, or the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust. These errors are subtle and often overlooked, but strong examples command five-figure prices. Off-metal strikes are even more shocking. Some 1965 dimes were struck on foreign planchets, including coins intended for other countries. These errors alter the coin's color, thickness, and weight. Authenticated off-metal 1965 dimes have sold for $10,000 to over $50,000, depending on rarity and condition. Off-center strikes add another layer of intrigue. A dime missing part of its design due to misalignment during striking can be extremely valuable, especially if the date remains visible. Dramatic off-center 1965 dimes can sell for thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. Another overlooked feature is strike quality. Most 1965 dimes were weakly struck, with flat details and poorly defined torch bands. A sharply struck example with full torch details is extremely rare for this year. Certified full torch 1965 dimes in high mint state grades can sell for several $1,000. Shocking collectors who assume only old silver coins matter. Die cracks, cuts, and retained breaks appear frequently in late-stage 1965 dies. Raised lines of metal across Roosevelt's face with a reverse torch are signs of a failing die. Large, dramatic die breaks are highly collectible and can push values into the high four figures or more. What makes the 1965 no-mint mark dime so dangerous and so exciting is that it's still everywhere. It's in old change jars, inherited collections, forgotten rolls, and even modern circulation. Most people never weigh them. They never test them. They never look closely. One 1965 dime struck on a silver plankett looks just like every other dime until it's examined properly. That's why some of the most valuable examples were discovered decades after they were minted, often by collectors who almost spent them. This single year represents chaos, secrecy, and experimentation at the US Mint. And buried inside that chaos are coins that turn the idea of common change upside down, worth more than houses, cars, and entire collections combined. The 1983 D Roosevelt dime looks completely ordinary at first glance. Small, silver-colored, lightweight. The kind of coin most people wouldn't even bother picking up if it fell on the ground. But this dime hides one of the most surprising stories in modern US coin history, because under the right conditions, it can be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. The T detail is the year 1983 and the mint mark T, which means it was struck at the Denver Mint. During this time, the US Mint was facing budget cuts, production pressure, and major changes in how coins were manufactured. As a result, quality control slipped, and collectors today are still discovering the consequences. One of the biggest reasons the 1983D dime is special is because no official proof sets were made that year. That alone makes high-quality examples harder to find. Most dimes from 1983 were heavily circulated, used in vending machines, cash registers, and daily transactions. That means finding one in pristine condition today is extremely rare. Condition matters more than almost anything else in coin collecting. A worn 1983D dime is usually worth face value, but a sharply struck, uncirculated example with full details and original mint luster can explode in value. Coins graded DIMES 67 or higher by professional grading services have sold for hundreds of dollars, and some exceptional examples have crossed the $1,000 mark. That's already shocking, but it gets better. One of the most valuable versions of the 1983D dime involves mint errors. Errors happen when something goes wrong during the striking process, and in 1983, they happen more often than people realize. A double die error, where parts of the design appear doubled, can dramatically increase value. Look closely at the date, the word liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust." If the letters or numbers look slightly shadowed or doubled, that dime could be worth hundreds to thousands of dollars, depending on clarity and condition. Another major error collectors hunt for is an off-center strike. Some 1983D dimes were struck slightly or dramatically off-center, leaving part of the design missing. The more off-center the strike, while still showing the date and mint mark, the more valuable the coin becomes. Certain off-center 1983D dimes have sold for $300 to $800, and extreme examples can go higher. Then there's the wrong plankett error, one of the most shocking finds of all. This happens when a dime is struck on a metal blank meant for another coin or even a foreign coin. A 1983D dime struck on the wrong plankett can weigh more or less than normal, sound different when dropped, and look slightly off in color. These error coins can sell for $1,000 to over $2,000, depending on the plankett and condition. Weight is critical here. A normal dime weighs 2.27 grams. Even a small difference can signal something valuable. Serious collectors always use digital scales accurate to at least 2 decimal places. Another overlooked factor is weak strike versus strong strike. In 1983, many dimes were weakly struck due to worn dies. Ironically, a strongly struck 1983D dime with full torch bands on the reverse is far rarer. These are known as full torch FETs dimes. The torch on the reverse of the Roosevelt dime has horizontal bands. If all bands are fully separated and sharp, the coin qualifies as full torch. Most 1983D dimes do not meet this standard. A certified 1983D full torch dime in high grade can sell for 4 figures, shocking people who assume modern coins have no real value. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. Many 1983D dimes were never saved. Coin collecting was declining in the early 1980s. Inflation was high, and people simply spent their change. That means today's population of high-grade examples is far smaller than mintage numbers suggest. Millions were made, but only a tiny fraction survived in collectible condition. Some collectors believe the 1983D dime is still undervalued, especially rare examples that haven't been professionally graded yet. Coins sitting in jars, drawers, and old piggy banks are still being discovered, and some are quietly changing hands for serious money. Another shocking detail: some 1983D dimes show clipped planchets, where part of the coin is missing due to a metal cutting error. These coins often look like they've been bitten or sliced. Authentic clipped plankett errors from 1983D can sell for $150 to $500, depending on size and placement. Die cracks and cuts are also common in late-stage 1983 dies. A raised line or blob of metal caused by a cracked die can significantly raise value. Large, Dramatic die breaks, especially on Roosevelt's face with a torch, are highly collectible and often underestimated by non-collectors. What makes all of this even more shocking is that most people never check their dimes. They look at pennies. They look at quarters. But dimes are ignored. That's why valuable examples slid through unnoticed. Collectors who specialize in Roosevelt dimes know that 1983D is a sleeper date. It doesn't look exciting. It doesn't sound rare. But once condition, strike quality, and errors are considered, it becomes one of the most interesting modern dimes in circulation.